I did not walk out because I was angry. I walked out because she made it easy. My name is Jacob Reed, and this is not a story I ever thought I would have to tell, but here we are. It started on a Thursday night. I was already picking up signs, little changes in her face, in her voice, in the way she touched her phone like it held her real life, while I was just some placeholder she forgot to replace. Her name was Emily, my wife for 6 years. The kind of woman who used to hum while brushing her teeth, laugh in the middle of her own stories, and cry during commercials. But lately, she had turned into a quiet storm, a soft kind of distance that did not yell or fight. It just stepped back inch by inch, and by the time I noticed, she was already on the other side of the room. That night, she came home late, 11:47 p.m. No message, no call. She walked in barefoot, heels dangling from her fingers, hair wild like she had been driving with the windows down or pulling someone else's hands out of it. Her dress was creased in all the wrong places. Her perfume was not the one she usually wore. It smelled like a lobby, like stale champagne and guilt. I was on the couch, lights off, pretending to sleep. She walked right past me without flinching, dumped her purse on the table, and then she hummed. That stupid, soft little hum she used to make when she was happy. That broke me more than anything. She had not hummed in months. Not when we danced in the kitchen. Not when I brought her breakfast in bed. But that night, after whatever she did, with whoever it was, she hummed. I waited until the water started running in the bathroom. Then I slipped out to the garage barefoot. I did not even feel the cold concrete under my feet. The car door was unlocked. The glove compartment too. Like a damn movie, I reached in and pulled out exactly what I expected, a receipt. Hotel Clementine. 1 night. 2 guests. Paid in cash. Tucked beside a lipstick I had never seen and a half-used breath mint. I sat there for an hour, staring at that paper like it was a confession written in invisible ink. The air in the garage was thick and silent. I did not cry. I did not even shake. I just stared at that receipt like it could somehow answer the question she never had the courage to say out loud. The next morning, I made her pancakes. Put whipped cream on top, strawberries on the side, the way she used to like. She kissed my cheek and told me I was sweet. Not the way lovers say it. The way someone says it to a stranger holding the door open. She had already left the marriage. I was just the guy still paying the mortgage. That night, I started writing the note. I wanted it to hurt. Not because I was petty. Because I needed her to know she had not fooled me. I wrote 1 line, scratched it out, then another. Nothing felt sharp enough. Until finally, I had it. Just 7 words. She would find it when she woke up. The bedroom would be dark, but I left the hallway light on. Just bright enough for her to see the truth in my handwriting. I did not take my phone. I did not take my ring. I took my dignity and the hotel receipt. That was it. When she found the note, I was already gone. I imagine she screamed. Emily was always good at performing. Tears right on cue. Wide eyes, trembling voice, the full production. But I was not there to see it. And for the first time in a long time, I did not want to be. I drove with no direction. Windows down. Night air sharp on my face. The farther I got from our house, the more I realized how much of myself I had left inside those walls. Not just the furniture, not just the clothes, but my peace, my trust, my belief in her. Somewhere near the state line, I stopped at a gas station, sat in the lot with a bitter cup of black coffee, and stared into nothing. It was not heartbreak. It was numbness. Like something had been cut out of me without anesthesia. And the worst part was not even the cheating. It was how easy she made it look. How little effort it took for her to lie to my face and hum in the shower with someone else's fingerprints still on her skin. She did not call right away. Emily always believed silence was power, that she could wait me out, that I would crawl back once I cooled off. But I was not cooling off. I was unraveling every memory, every smirk she gave that phone, every whisper I heard through the bathroom door when she said she was working late but came home without her laptop and with lipstick she never wore before. I spent that first night in a cheap motel off Route 73, one with faded carpets and a rattling air conditioner. Paid in cash. No ID. I left my phone off and stared at the ceiling until the morning sun slipped through the blinds like an apology too late. I replayed the last year of our life together. Her turning away in bed. Her hiding her screen every time I walked by. Her starting fights out of nothing just to leave the house angry. The truth was not a single punch. It was a slow drowning. And by the time I gasped for air, I realized she had been holding me under the whole time. The next morning, My phone buzzed when I turned it back on. No name. Just a message. Can we talk? I stared at the words for a long time. She did not say I am sorry. She did not say I miss you. Just a simple, vague attempt to get her foot back in the door. I ignored it. 2 hours later, another one. I made a mistake. Please come home. I need you. That was the line that made me laugh out loud. She needed me. Like I was a mechanic there to fix the machine, she ran into the ground. I scrolled past the message and went for a walk instead. Cold wind, empty streets. My body ached, not from exhaustion, but from carrying a marriage she abandoned long ago. That evening, she tried something new. She sent a photo. Us on our wedding day. My hand around her waist, her eyes glossy with tears. I remember thinking back, then that I had really found someone who would never betray me. Under the photo, she wrote, "You are destroying everything we built." That made me clench my jaw so hard I heard it pop. As if I was the wrecking ball. As if she had not been tearing down the walls brick by brick while smiling in my face. That was when I knew she was not sorry. She was just losing control. I did not answer. She tried guilt, then love, then desperation. But none of it felt real anymore. It felt like she was acting in a play where I had walked off the stage, and she did not know what to do without an audience. By the third day, she was calling every hour. She left a voicemail sobbing so hard I could barely tell if it was real or just breathless performance. Probably both. I blocked her. It was not revenge. It was survival. Like closing the window in a storm. She would pour in through every crack if I let her. I remember sitting on the motel bed that night, a bottle of cheap bourbon beside me, my ring still on the nightstand, untouched. I kept looking at it like it might explode or disappear. But it just sat there, like the past. Heavy and useless. That was the moment I realized something I did not want to admit before. It was not just that she cheated. It was how little effort she put into hiding it. How confident she was that I would stay blind. That guts me more than anything. She did not even bother to cover her tracks. She walked through our home with another man's scent on her skin and hummed like it was just another Tuesday. That is what kills you. Not the act. The ease. The comfort. The sheer casualness of betrayal. A few days later, her sister texted me. Rachel, the only person in her family I ever trusted. She wrote, "I do not know the full story, but Emily is a mess. Are you safe?" I answered simply, "I am safe. I just finally got tired of being lied to." She responded a minute later with something that hit me hard. "I always had a feeling. If you need somewhere to go, let me know." That line stopped me. She knew. Maybe not all of it, but enough to feel the rot behind the smiles. And suddenly I started to wonder how many people around us were pretending. How many saw the signs, but looked away? How long had Emily planned this? Did she ever intend to tell me? Or was she going to keep rehearsing her second life until I stumbled into the truth like a fool? That night, I opened my journal. Not because I needed to remember, but because I needed to see it all in one place. I wrote down every moment I ignored, every gut feeling I pushed aside, every night she came home late and kissed me with lips that no longer tasted like love. And when I finished the last sentence, I stared at the page until my vision blurred. This was not just a story about infidelity. This was a story about erasure. About how you can sleep next to someone who slowly deletes you, and you do not even realize it until you are already gone. 3 days after I left, I got a message that made the air leave my lungs. It came from a number I did not recognize. No name, no greeting. Just 7 words that stopped me mid-bite in a diner off Route 6. "Hey, this is Cole. I think we need to talk." At first, I thought it was some prank. Maybe Emily trying to bait me into a reaction so she could spin it into proof that I was unstable or obsessed. She was good at that. Paint herself the victim, point at the man walking away from her fire, and scream that he started it. But then another message came through, just 2 minutes later. I did not know she was married. Not at first. And that was when I knew it was real. I did not respond right away. I finished my coffee, let the taste of burnt beans sit on my tongue like smoke. Then I wrote back. "Where?" He sent me the address of some little coffee shop downtown. Public place. Smart choice. I parked across the street, sat in the car with the engine running, wondering if this was a mistake. If I was about to walk into some kind of trap. But curiosity is louder than fear, especially when the lies are still fresh and your heart is tired of trying to guess what is real. I walked in. He was already there. Clean shirt. Nervous eyes. He stood when I approached and offered his hand like we were 2 men closing a deal. I did not take it. Just sat down. Let the silence stretch long enough to make him sweat. Then he spoke. I did not know about you, he said, his voice soft like he had been rehearsing it. Not until about a month in. I stared at him, jaw clenched. And when you found out, what did you do? I asked. Did you stop? Did you care? He looked down, ran a hand through his hair. No. I kept seeing her. That is on me. I should have walked away. I hated how calm I was. How numb. I should have been angry. Should have punched something. But all I felt was tired. So I just nodded and said, you are not the first man she lied to. He sighed. She told me you were separated. Said it was a dead marriage. That you were just roommates who used to love each other. That you were cold, distant, barely ever home. I let out a bitter laugh that sounded like it belonged to someone else. I was home every damn night. I made dinner. I planned our anniversaries. I cleaned the gutters and folded her laundry and asked how her day was while she smiled at me like I was the wallpaper in a room she had already mentally moved out of. He shook his head. Look, man, I am not proud of any of this. I just thought you deserved to know. She lied to me too. She told me you were obsessed with her, that you were following her, that you were emotionally abusive and controlling. That made something inside me snap. Not loud, not explosive, just a cold internal break, like ice under pressure. She was not just cheating. She was rewriting me, turning me into a villain so she could feel clean. He must have seen my face change, because he added quickly, I did not believe it. Not after I saw the messages. The way she talked to you. That is not how someone talks to an ex. She still had her claws in you. I nodded slowly. Yeah, she did. For longer than I want to admit. We sat in silence for a moment, both of us staring at our untouched drinks. Then I said it, flat and clear. She used both of us. He nodded. I broke it off a week ago. I have not seen her since. But I figured you deserve the truth. I stood. He did not. He looked like he wanted to say more, but I had no interest in hearing regrets from a man who helped bury my marriage, even if he did not know he was holding the shovel. I walked out. The sun was too bright, the world too loud. I drove until my gas light blinked and pulled into another nameless town, found a bench near a park, and just sat there. No phone, no music, just me, my thoughts, and the silence she used to fill. That was the day I called my lawyer. Enough was enough. I was not going to survive this one quiet motel night at a time. I was going to end it. For good. Because the thing about lies is, if you let them live too long, they start to sound like truth. And I was done living in her story. It was time to write my own. The lawyer's office was colder than I expected. Not the temperature, just the air, still, heavy, sterile. Her name was Denise. Square glasses, gray blazer, eyes that had seen every kind of heartbreak there was. She did not ask me why I was there. She had already seen the documents I sent, screenshots, call logs, receipts, messages. She looked at me over the desk and said, we can work with this. That was all I needed. No sympathy, no questions, just a plan. She laid it out plain and dry. The state was no fault, but documented infidelity could sway the division. I had records. I had proof. I had facts. Emily always underestimated what I noticed. She thought I was passive, distracted, easy to deceive. But I do not forget. I do not delete. And when it mattered, I brought it all. I walked out with a folder of forms, court dates penciled in, and for the first time in months, the weight on my chest felt like it belonged to someone else. The sky outside was overcast, just enough to match the mood, but something in me felt clearer. Not free, not yet, but awake. I drove straight to Rachel's apartment. She lived in a walk-up with squeaky stairs and a welcome mat that said, no bullshit beyond this point. She opened the door in sweatpants and a ponytail, holding out a cup of coffee like she had been waiting for me. I figured you would come eventually, she said. I dropped my duffel bag on the floor and collapsed onto the couch. I had not slept properly in weeks. Not the kind of sleep where your body goes quiet and your mind follows. Rachel did not ask questions. She just sat in the armchair and let me exist. That night, I found myself looking through old photos on my phone. Birthdays, road trips, her head on my chest, smiling with her eyes closed like she had no secrets. But even in those moments, I could see it now, the way her eyes wandered, the fake laughs, the slight lean away from me. She had been fading. I just refused to see it. You do not notice when someone starts packing their emotional bags. Not until they are gone and all you are left with is the echo of them still closing drawers. Around midnight, I turned my phone back on for the first time in 2 days. Dozens of messages. Missed calls. Voicemails. One video. I should not have opened it, but I did. It was Emily. No makeup, red eyes, sweater pulled up to her knuckles. She was crying. Not loudly, not hysterical. Quiet tears, shaky voice, like she had rehearsed just enough to sound real. I just wanted to say I am sorry, she whispered. I made a mistake. I do not even recognize the person I became. You were good to me, Jacob. Too good. I watched the whole thing without blinking. Not because I was moved, but because I felt absolutely nothing. That scared me more than her lies. This was the woman I had built my life with. The woman I had imagined growing old beside. And now she was just pixels on a screen. A stranger. A voice I did not trust. A face I did not miss. I turned off the phone and placed it face down on the floor. Rachel walked out of her room with a blanket and draped it over me like I was a kid who had been through too much. Neither of us said a word. In the morning, I checked the calendar. 3 weeks until the first court date. That afternoon, I sent the papers to her office. No warning. No call. Just a delivery she would have to sign for in front of people who thought they knew her. Not to humiliate her, but because I knew if I gave her time, she would twist the story. Turn the betrayal into a misunderstanding. The lies into confusion. Emily was always good at rewriting scenes she did not like. That evening, Rachel handed me her spare key. You can stay as long as you need, she said. I nodded. I was not sure how long that would be. But for once, the uncertainty did not scare me. That night, I sat on her tiny balcony, hoodie up, city lights blinking below. I had not felt calm in months. But now, there was this strange stillness. A pause in the noise. No Emily. No lies. No pretending. Just me, some cold air, and a silence that finally felt like mine. The divorce papers were finalized on a Thursday afternoon. No dramatic courtroom. No screaming match. No final plea from her to stay. Just a clerk with a tired voice calling my name, stamping a form, and sliding a folder across the table like it was any other errand on any other day. And maybe that was the cruelest part of it all. That something so heavy, so devastating, could end with a quiet shuffle of paper and a signature. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel sad. I just felt done. I walked out of that office with my hands in my pockets and a weightless ache in my chest, the kind that only comes when the bleeding has finally stopped. The sky was clear, sunlight warm on my skin. I drove back to Rachel's apartment with the windows cracked and the radio low. It was the first time music did not feel like noise. I let it play while my thoughts ran quiet for once. No what-ifs. No replays. Just silence. She was not home when I got there, but she had left a note on the counter. There is whiskey in the cabinet. You earned it. I smiled. Not because I felt happy, but because the world felt less fake for a second. I sat by the window, poured a glass, and stared at the street below while headlights came and went like ghosts passing through. I opened the note on my phone, the one I had been writing for weeks. Not to her. To myself. It started small. Little reminders. Never trust someone who hides their phone more than their past. Love should not come with humiliation as the price. Silence between two people should feel safe, not suffocating. But then the lines got sharper. More brutal. If someone needs to lie to feel alive, they will kill everything good around them just to breathe. The version of her I loved only existed when I was not paying attention. I stared at those words a long time. Then I added one more. Sometimes closure is not a conversation. Sometimes it is walking away while the door is still open. That line stayed with me. I whispered it out loud just to hear how it sounded in the air. It felt real. Felt like something I could carry. A few days later, Emily showed up at Rachel's door. No call. No message. Just knocked like we were still in some chapter that had not ended. Rachel opened the door. I heard her voice. High, thin, strained. Is Jacob here? Please. I just need 5 minutes. Rachel stepped out, closed the door behind her. They spoke in quiet tones, but I heard enough. He does not want to see you, Rachel said. You need to go. You always hated me, Emily snapped. No, Rachel replied, calm as ice. I just knew he deserved someone who did not lie through her teeth and call it love. Silence. Then footsteps. Then another knock. This time soft. I stood and opened the door. She looked small. No makeup. Hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. A shadow of the woman I married, but not the woman I missed. I felt nothing. I know you hate me, she said. I cannot sleep. I cannot breathe without you. I stared at her. We were real, Jacob. We were something real. I nodded slowly. I was real. You were pretending. She flinched. Tears welled in her eyes, but I had seen them before. She was not here for closure. She was here for control. For a reset button I destroyed months ago. I did not mean to fall for him, she said. It just happened. I was lonely and, stop, I said. You do not get to rewrite the story. Not now. Not here. She looked at me, mouth open, but no words came. So I pulled out my phone, opened the email from Cole, and handed it to her. Her eyes dropped to the screen. I watched her read the words. Line after line of her lies. Her betrayal. Her attempt to twist the narrative even after she had been caught. Her knees gave out. She sat on the porch step like the weight of the truth had finally landed. But I did not reach for her. I did not kneel. I let her sit with it. You do not want love, I said. You want worship. And when love starts to feel human, you destroy it. She whispered something I could not hear, and I did not ask her to repeat it. I just closed the door. Behind me, Rachel stood in the hallway. Drink, she asked. Yeah, I said, exhaling for the first time all day. Something strong. The bottle clinked. Glass poured. And for once, I did not feel like I was patching a wound. I felt like I was free. Later that night, I fell asleep on her couch, wrapped in a blanket, the TV murmuring in the background. I did not dream. I did not toss. I just rested. And in the morning, when the sun came in and the coffee smelled like burnt peace, I sat at the table and knew something for sure. I was still standing. I was still whole. And I was not his husband anymore. I was Jacob. Finally, just Jacob.